Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Dave TV here at DCRTV.com. How you doing, everybody? Another thin day at the Washington Post. Another thin day at the Washington Post. No ad on the back page either of the A section. A thin sports section with a big picture on the front. How many? Thin style section as usual. A thin metro section as usual. No ad on the back page either. Oh well. This is a big story, big local political story. This is. Yeah, the Republicans there are trying to do this mid-season redistricting in Virginia, and they waited till Monday when a key Democrat was at the inauguration, so his vote wouldn't count. And then they went and in the middle of the night passed this redistricting thing where basically it basically gives a lot more districts, advantage to Republicans all over the state. Okay, this is at the beginning of a legislative session that's going to deal with a whole bunch of controversial issues like Bob McDonnell's big transportation plan and all that. Who's a Republican? Well, anyhow, getting into all this, one of the interesting things today was the fact that very little of this is on WMAL this morning. I mean, I didn't listen at 5 o'clock when they first came on, Larry and Brian, but you know what? They've made very little mention of it. Now, if this was Maryland, and the Democrats had, who run the state, had done this thing in the middle of the night with, changing all the districts around in the middle of the term, they would be screaming bloody murder about it, and it would be all over their morning show. But because it's the Republicans doing it, and it's embarrassing to the Republicans, even the governor has come out against it, the Republican governor. It's embarrassing to the Republicans. So the WMAL downplays this. Now, yeah, it's mentioned on their newscast, but they're not spending much time talking about it. They'd rather spend more time talking about Beyonce lip-syncing at the inauguration. This is another reason why WMAL just isn't a very good station. Okay? They just aren't. They still aren't a very good station. They should be all over this story today, regardless of whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans, because it's a crazy thing. And any political party that does this at the beginning of a legislative session like that, in the middle, they're not even doing it in the years with the one where they do the redistricting. So this is crazy, and WMAL isn't covering it, and Larry O'Connor. Larry O'Connor's been Facebooking me lately. And he says, he likes show tunes. I don't like show tunes. I don't like musicals. I love movies. I love film noir. I love action movies. Well, some of them. I love Woody Allen. I love Alfred Hitchcock. I don't like musicals. So all right, folks. What the heck? Okay, the other big news, big, gigantic news from yesterday. CBS has announced that it's pulling the plug on WNEW. AM. WNEW AM 1580. Yeah. What was it? Late last year, CBS decided to take the talk format from 1580 and flip it over to a BizGov format, business and government. Okay, the rumor was they were going to be trying to compete with Hubbard. WTOP runs Federal News Radio 1580 or 1500 AM, and it does very well revenue-wise. Doesn't do great in the ratings, but they do a lot of. For a station that gets virtually no audience, they do quite well revenue-wise. So the rumor was that WNEW CBS, with this new all news on 99.1 that started just about a year ago, would be doing the same thing with 1580, doing a kind of a government play there. Well, guys, it didn't work out too well. So I even said this months ago. They need to just put CBS Sports Radio full-time in the Washington market on 1580. And guess what? They're doing it. Yesterday's big news was, as of next Monday, 1580 will be a full-time plug-in the satellite of the CBS Sports Radio, with Tiki Barber, John Feinstein, and Jim Rome, and a bunch of other people, Scott Farrell. They're all going to be on there, and so you'll be able to hear that. Now, the problem with 1580, of course, is the night signal. It's great during the day. You know, when the sun's up, they have a nice signal that covers the whole Washington Metro. But when that sun goes down, they power down to like 200 watts or less, or 23 watts or something, and you can only hear them in parts of Prince George's County and D.C. So, you know, you can always listen to CBS Sports Radio on the HD2 digital of 106.7. No plans to change the call letters of 1580 from WNEW AM, but I do think eventually they'll get changed to WJFK AM. So they'll co-brand the 1580 CBS Sports Radio with the main 106.7 WJFK FM. So I'm pretty sure it'll happen one of these days. Nobody will tell anyone. Just all of a sudden it'll flip, and 1580 will become WJFK AM, which makes a lot of sense because then that opens up JFK AM to carry some sports overflow and stuff like that. And maybe CBS can tweak the signal and maybe get a little stronger night signal on that. I don't know. But, hey, it's something I said that they should do, and they took my advice and they're doing it. So thank you. You send me the consultant's check, Steve Swenson. My address is there on the support page just to make it out. Put a lot of zeros in it. And there you go. Okay, so one of my radio sources yesterday sent me an interesting little graphic showing the news radio ratings over the last year, okay? When you look at the news radio ratings. So what are these numbers? We have the 6+ numbers and the 2554. Let's take a look at the 2554 numbers since they're more relevant, okay? The 2554 numbers for the last year and the news stations. Now we have, 4 major news stations in Washington according to the radio ratings: WTOP, WAMU, WMAL, and WNEW. How did they trend over the last year with the arrival of WNEW just about a year ago as of yesterday at noon? Noon on the 22nd of last year was when WNEW started up. How have they produced? So look at TOP. In the 2554 numbers, we have WTOP going from a 5-0 share a year ago, okay, and 4th place, okay? And then they go up to about a 5-9 share in February and up to a 6-1 share in May of 2012, all the way up to a 7-3 share in July. Now, that's probably having to do with that derecho in late June there. So they surge up to like 2nd place with a 7-3 share, and then they trend down a little bit in September, but then back up to a 7-3 in November and end the year out at a 6-2 in December for 3rd place. So basically, you have to say, even with WNEW in the game, WTOP's ratings were fairly steady, somewhere around 3rd, 2nd place almost the entire year. And then you look at WAMU, and WAMU in that 2554 demo, they go from 6th place to 8th place, 6th place about a year ago to about 8th place in February, 4th place in April, and then up to about 4th place with the election going, presidential race going there in August and September. And then they surge up to 3rd place in October, and then they finish the year at about 5th place with a 5-7 share. Okay, now that's the 2554 demo. If you add the 6+ on that, which means a lot of the old folks older than 54, they do much better. In fact, they are often 1st place. If you look at the DC Radio News Battle in the 6+ range, they're 1st place solidly almost the entire year because they tend to skew a bit old with that over 54 audience. Then you look at MAL. And MAL started the year at 23rd place with a 0.9 share. Okay? And then they trended upward a little bit to about 2.0 share, 18th place there in March. And then they went up to they stayed about 18th place in the 2554 demo, going up a little bit to a 2.5 share in October and a 2.7 share in November with the election, and then back down to a 1.9 share with a 19th place. Okay, so, they kind of went up a little bit with the election coverage and then kind of sagged back down again. And then you look at WNEW. And they started out the year in this 2554 demo with a 0.9, 23rd place. And then they dropped. They actually dropped. That was, holiday period. Okay, you got to remember the holiday period of last year. They were running rock. They were running those rock history programs. So when they actually started their news format, which is shown in the February radio ratings, they went down to a 35th place with a 0.3 share. And then they have trended upward a little bit, okay? They've gone from 35th place up into the low 20s by June, and then into the mid-20s by November. So they finish out the year about 25th place with a 0.7 share in the 2554 demo. So basically, at the end of the year, as we cross the finish line at the end of the year, we have TOP in third place with a 6.2 share, WAMU in fifth place with a 5.7 share, MAL in 19th place with a 1.9 share. And that's not so good considering they're both on AM and FM. And WNEW in 25th place with a 0.7 share. Okay? So if you look at those trends, if you look at the trends and just estimate them out through the year 2013, you're going to see that WTOP probably will stay the same, AMU will stay the same, MAL will stay the same, and maybe NEW will gain a little bit. Maybe they'll go from 25th to 23rd or 21st place, something like that. I don't see any huge changes for the new year. But in any case, you can look at it and say WNEW has, they have not made a great big impact. Now, again, that's ratings. We're not talking about revenue. So, it'd be interesting to see what the revenue picture is come March or something when that company called BIA Financial out of Chantilly releases its revenue data for the year. That will be very, very, very interesting. All right, folks. Thanks for watching Dave TV. Bundled up today. It's cold out there. My little space heater. See my little space heater over there? Where is it? See my little space heater? That thing's chugging away. See, here in Villa Ridge condo, we have heat pumps. We don't have gas heat here. We have all electric. And heat pumps work great until the temperature gets to be about 25 or below. And then they just run and they kind of keep the temperature at about 60. So if you want it any warmer than that, you got to get a little space heater, which works fine. Big deal. I like it cool anyhow. I'm a hot-blooded guy, and I like it cool. Thanks for watching Dave TV for the 23rd of January, 2013. Live long and prosper.